Hello, welcome back to Sarah's Country Cottage. I'm starting this part of the video down in our sitting room, and then I shall be going upstairs. So this video is all about the baskets that I love, and specifically the basket covers that I've made. And that all stemmed from this little basket here. This was my mother's, and I remember this from my childhood. I loved it. So it's very, very old now. It must be over. It's got to be 45 years, something like that. And I can't remember where she got it from. I think it was possibly a present from my father. But it's embroidered, and it says, "A stitch in time saves 9." It's got beautiful forget-me-nots on it, and it's a lovely old basket, and I loved it so much for many, many years. And then one day she gave it to me. I'm very lucky. She's a wonderful mum. We have so many things in common. We both love our baskets. So this is where it all began, and how I started my love of baskets and making tops for them. So I'm going to start off down here in the sitting room, and I tried to show you the other week, but it was covered in teddies and toys. But this is probably one of my first basket covers that I made. It's still on the basket, and when I first started, actually, it wasn't going to be a basket cover. Let me pull it to one side a little bit. I wasn't quite sure what I was doing. It was my first attempt really at embroidery and doing different French knots and bullion knots. Oh, crikey, there's a little screw there. That's from Christmas, hanging up the stockings. And doing like the basket weave and French knots and creating different flowers, and then kind of applique and relief, because I wanted like a door, and then like relief for this, because I wanted it to be like a thatched cottage, and then thatch over the door, and then a little window box. So again, can you see how it's relieved? And then I just kind of embroidered like you get on the thatch, and embroidered. And I'm amazed how I did this. I winged it to coin a phrase from the dove itself. But yeah, so I was really pleased with this. And then it was a case, well, what do I do with it? So I turned it into, and this is where it sits and has been for many years, into a basket cover. And I love making baskets out of anything. And actually, this basket cover here that I made, beautiful cross stitch, and this I found in a charity shop, thrift store, and it was unfinished, and I thought, oh my goodness, somebody spent so long stitching this. I mean, if you love to stitch, you'll appreciate how long this would take somebody. And there wasn't much left to do, so I just finished it off, and then I turned it into a basket cover. And it's a lovely old basket, and it sits on top of a sewing box. There's a little doggy there. And yes, so I'm always on the lookout for what I can turn into a lovely little basket cover. I love baskets of all shapes and sizes. And then this is my oak chest that belonged to my parents. Got lovely pale pink roses. And this clock, well, this belonged to my grandparents. And then this basket here, I made this quite a few years ago. It's a funny shape, but I have some wool in there, and I just wanted to cover up the wool because it's not the prettiest. So I made a little oval, and then I've tilted it forward so I can see it more visible. And again, I think this was one of my first attempts at creating a basket, and then these roses little bees. I love doing the little bumblebees. Yeah, a real favourite of mine. So there you go. So that's some of my baskets. And then if I turn back round here and come to this is where I sit at night on the sofa and have a little brew with my husband, and we'll sit down for the last hour before bed and watch something on TV. And this is the little pincushion that I made this Christmas. But then this basket on top of here is another basket cover that I made years ago. And this one's with red velvet, and it's wool underneath, so it gives it nice and thick. And I wanted to I'd seen somebody else create an embroidery with a spider's web, so I wondered if I could do something similar. And so this is what I went with. So it's a spider's web. You can see a bit of dust on this one. Now what I do for cleaning is I get the hoover attachment and just softly hoover my baskets. Because with today we've got sunshine in this room, you can actually see some dust. Deary me. Never mind. So on here, getting up close, you can see I've tried to embroider things like little roses and just sprigs of flowers. Again, this has been edged with different colours of lace. And then I've added beads to the ends of the trim. And it just gives it a nice weight, so it hangs nicely. And then that was one of the first ever little strawberries that I made. So it's a work in progress. So anyway, as I go around the room, I like to make some covers that are very simple. So again, we've got old patchwork, just to create a little top. And then a little cushion on a basket there. And then here on this basket, and I did that this Christmas. So I've created a couple of the pincushion strawberries that you can see. And this was an old quilt, you know, the patchwork quilt. And I love it inside out, back to front. So I just wanted to create a very simple cover inside out. And I just love the effect of it. Can you make it out? I mean, I bought this from an antique centre, and oh, it was so shabby and it was falling to bits, but I washed it and I can only use certain parts of it. I'm having to stitch a lot of it back together and patch it up, but I just love this, how it creates a lovely little basket cover. A little old, can you see this little doll? Very primitive style on top. Bought her on holiday once in America. And then this is just like a needlework book, again, that I embroidered with basket, with the, you know, woven basket and embroidery flowers. And this isn't a basket cover, but it's a basket. And again, with the same scraps of patchwork, I created a little quilt for this hedgehog. So there you go. So that's the first part of this video, and stay with me and I'll take you upstairs. So I'm now upstairs in our guest bedroom, and I've gathered together all the baskets that are upstairs that I've made covers for, and starting with these three, because these are all made from an old piece of quilt that I bought at a country cart fair. And then let me move the camera. I first used the main piece from on top of our drawers, where I house everything related to my little miniature world. And then going back down here, I used the rest to create these three basket covers. So basically it's old quilt, and I've embroidered on flowers and attached little buttons, some more buttons in there, and then I've picked out some of the detail of the flowers with more beads. And so basically, when I'm creating these basket tops, I start off with for me the easiest thing is like an old magazine, you know, when you've got that centre part where the staple was, you know, if you've got one out of a newspaper supplement, I mean, it doesn't have to be that, but where you've got a magazine inside the two sheets folded in half, and I use that, so I kind of create a template of the basket and draw around it. I might kind of have the pen underneath and draw around the paper and then fiddle about with it, really, just so I could get an average shape and size as a template. And then and because I'm only doing it for myself, I'm not selling it, so they're only very crude, but underneath I'll use some old blanket, and then I'll have like like a wadding as for a middle section. So altogether there's usually 3 sections to my basket covers. So whether it's nice old blanket for the base, because that gives it something firm to work on, then the wadding in the middle to give it some density, and then whatever cover I'm going to use on top. And so I've done the same method really for all my baskets. And here on these 2, you can see I've trimmed with 2 different coloured laces, again edged with beads, and then some lovely, here, some silk pale pink ribbon to edge the baskets. Then this one I've just been a lot smaller. Whenever I see, you know, haberdashery, anywhere that sells sewing bits and pieces, I'm always on the lookout for anything that I can use for edging, like this green here. I mean, things like that I've got in the past from places like Hobbycraft. You could probably get things like this online, but I'm always on the lookout, and especially for little buttons, things that I've collected all my life. So that's those 3 there. Then I showed this basket in a video the other week, and oh, I love this basket. It's the perfect shape. I love it. It's so old. And so obviously I adorned this with my velvet strawberries that I made. And then on top, again, it's more of a linen, this one. But again, I've backed it with wool, so it gives it some substantial. And the wadding again in the middle. And then again, it's whatever edging I can find. So this has got a similar edging to this little basket with the green edge. And this one in lovely dusky pinks. Then a gingham ribbon that already came ruched. This ribbon was already ruched up, so I didn't have to do that. But then just to give it a little extra detail, but also to weight it down over the edge, I added these little glass pink beads. So, you know, I'm no expert at sewing, so I've just kind of gone round looping them on with a needle, and it weights it down so it hangs nicely over the edge, and I do like that effect, and it keeps it in place. Then on top is a little doggy that I needle felted. So then as I move on to this basket, now this basket, oh my goodness, I did this years ago. So this basket is a basket that I had many years ago, and you can tell if anybody remembers these old, they're called dried image flowers and ribbon roses. They're all just glued on with a hot gun all around the edge. Inside is lined with velvet, and then the top is actually from, I didn't cross stitch this one. I saw this when I love charity shops, thrift stores, you call them in America, to my American friends. I found this, you know, because quite often you'll see cross stitch and tapestries that are kind of, oh, I don't know, it's sad to think what's happened to the previous owner, but sometimes they're just not finished, and they're just, you find them in these charity shops, and this was one of them. So I finished it off and then made it into another little basket cover that, again, I've used the same kind of like bobbin edging and put on a little bead there, and it just creates another little basket cover. So actually, if I stay on this side, I can show you. So this basket I did here, I did a similar theme for this one. I love creating the basket effects. So I'm now going to move around. So I've got them all on the bed. So you can see our guest bedroom. And at the end of the bed, we've got our little toy bed, little day bed. filled with all. See, my children have bought me lots of these bunnies and from birthdays in the past. I love them. Now then, here we go. Now, years ago, a friend gave me this cross stitch. Again, it was unfinished, and she knew I was making basket covers and said, do something with it. So I did. So this is quite a large one, quite bright colours with lots of pansies on it. And then I just gave it some extra detail with bits of lace and some nice little buttons that I had going across. And there is little Millie Molly Mandy book. Oh, precious. And also, do you know Brimley Hedge? Little bookmark. And then on top of the bed, oh, well, these are sitting here at the moment. 2 little elephants. Look, aren't they adorable? So, back to the baskets. I love baskets. I've always loved baskets. I love every shape, every size, every design, large and small. And these are 2 small ones. This one, now then, where did I find this? It could have been on a holiday somewhere, like in a Cornish village or something, because it's actually like, it's got a little sign on the front saying Guernsey. So somebody must have brought it there as a souvenir, but I just thought it's like a little miniature fishing basket. But I just made this little cover that kind of, you know, lifts up at the front. I always like to trim the ribbons, and on this one I embroidered a little chick and some little bees and little tiny flowers. Again, I've edged it with the same bobbin edging and little tiny seed pearls, do you call them? Little tiny bees. I need the finest needle to thread through. But yes, so this goes and sits in our little tiny guest bedroom. And then next to it, not everybody's favourite colours, but you know, when it's autumn, I do like these colours for autumn. So this is another little tiny basket, and I've embroidered on top, and again edged it with beads. And again, I've made these quite a few years ago, quite old now, along with this one too, in pretty lemons and yellows and creams. Again, you can see that try to embroider so they look like maybe hydrangeas and then adorn them with beads, so it just kind of gives it a 3D relief. And then this basket behind it is again, oh, can you make out? It's a beautiful shape. I love it. And this one again, they're all made with like all pieces of blanket that I've cut into shape of the basket. So this will be like 2 layers of blanket, top and bottom, and then with wadding in the middle. Sometimes if it's very thick blanket, you don't even need the middle section. And this one I've just edged purely in like the bobbin stuff, again this time in pink to complement the green, and lots of beads. And then we've got the green silk ribbon. And then on this little basket, oh, look at these 2. My dear friend Needle felted these 2 little bunnies, and they like to sit on top of here. And again on this one we've got another basket of flowers that I embroidered. Now this basket behind here, I also quite like adding, like, now can you make this out if I just, there we go, like adding little things to hang from the side, because I've done teacups where they kind of, and done something similar, so they look like a little tea bag hanging from the side. Yeah, I should have got that out because I like doing pin cushions for old teacups, and then I'll do that on the side with a little embroidery. So that again, this is another shade, lending itself more to like the autumn shades. I do like every colour, and again, it's another basket that I love the weaving effect that you can create, little bumblebees and flowers. So there we go, that's a few of my baskets. And then now, well, these are the tiniest of the lot. So these are some baskets. I think I had these as a child, these baskets. you know, I got them because I love dolls' houses and creating things for a doll's house. I used to make them out of cardboard boxes, and you know, if ever I could get a cardboard box and some fancy gift wrap, and I'd cover the boxes in gift wrap and insulation tape, because you used to get it in different colours, and I loved the green, so I used to use this green insulation tape and create these little rooms out of cardboard boxes. And like maybe one would be a flower shop, and of course then I'd have these little baskets and try to fill them with flowers. So then as I've grown up, I've made little basket covers for them. So these are my smallest three. So with the duck egg blues, and then the pale pinks, and then the green and pinks. And this is just a little pin cushion that I made many years ago out of a cross stitch. So then this next basket is another basket that I've lined in velvet, and then the edge, well, do you know, this edging, what was it from? Was it an old lampshade? It's something that I repurposed. It was something I wasn't using anymore, and I just thought, crikey, yes, it had this pleated effect. I'm sure it was off an old lampshade, and I just thought, could I use it to edge this basket? So that's what I did. It's basically just hot glued on there, and then covered over to, you know, disguise the edging with lots of ribbon roses. So there you go. So that's another way that, you know, something else I do with baskets. And then here is another one. I once did a large version of these baskets, and I painted the basket in this beautiful palest of pink, edged it in lace, in fact, no, it's a floral fabric, and then lots of floral flowers around the edge. And I did that as a present for my mum for her birthday one year, and she loved it. So this is showing up quite vibrant, isn't it? In reality, it's not. It's very pale, very muted. But yes, this is another basket that I did many years ago. And again, another sample. It's actually, I lined the basket in this lovely, I think this was Tilda fabric. I just made a little couple of hearts to hang off the end. If you're looking closer, there's like little old bunny buttons and little, anything that I can find anywhere that I think, oh, that'll look pretty edging, I'll use it to adorn a basket. So there you go. So this is the collection of baskets that I have upstairs. I showed you the other week my Beatrix Potter ones that I made. Jemima Puddle Duck, and then Peter Rabbit and Mrs. Tiggywinkle. And then there's just one more tiny one. Now I've shut the curtains there because it was interfering with the with the light trying to do a video. So it's still quite light in this room because of the two windows. But anyway, if I turn round, this is actually the smallest basket, the smallest little topper. I didn't make it as a topper for this basket because you can see it's square and the basket's round. I did it more like a panhandle, you know, for my little miniatures. But then I just sat it on that basket and I thought, yes, that looks rather pretty. As you can see, I just love baskets. And again, the quilt, one of my favourite little miniature baskets, is another little miniature quilt. So there you go. So that wraps up my my basket covers. I'm sure I'll be making more in the future, and maybe I can show you in more detail how I do actually make them, take you along the process. But for now, I just thought I would show you my collection. So I hope you like it. I hope everybody's well and having a lovely time. And thank you to everybody for subscribing and for all your comments on my previous videos. It really is heartwarming. And especially, you know, the garden as well. Because I know some people won't want to see garden, they might just want to see the home. Whereas, I love both my garden and my home and crafting and florals. And I've had some lovely positive feedback. I really appreciate it all, and I will always try to respond to all the comments. So thank you once again for watching. I wish everybody a lovely new week, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.